There are 5 key things I've learned about training to climb a mountain. I'm confident that these tips will add value to your training as well. And the best part is that it's way more fun to climb a mountain when you can do so effectively and without being completely exhausted afterward. Quick disclaimer, I'm not a licensed trainer or medical professional. I don't have a degree in exercise physiology. Training, in fact, is not a one-size-fits-all approach. So what I'm sharing here is simply what has worked well for me to train my endurance for climbing mountains. If we haven't met before, my name is August. Let's jump into my top 5 tips for training to climb a mountain. Tip number 1, commit to training, not just getting in shape. In 2020, I found myself stopping short of the summit on a mountain called Granite Peak in Montana. I had to stop several hundred feet short of the summit, primarily because I was exhausted. I had not adequately prepared for the demands of the climb. Now, this was frustrating and disappointing, but it led me to start questioning my methods. And this took me on a journey of discovering how I could more effectively train for climbing a mountain. On Granite Peak, I had prepared with the getting in shape method. I was doing workouts here and there, but without purpose and intentionality. In this case, I hadn't trained to climb 24 miles round trip and ascend over 6,000 feet. I was working out, but I wasn't actually training. Now stick around for tips 3, 4, and 5 because that's where I'll get into principles that help me understand what training actually is. For 2 climbing seasons now, I've trained with a much greater degree of intentionality. This has led to success on Mount Hood in 2021 and reaching just over 6,000 meters in the Himalayas this year, and I am confident that these principles will add value to your training as well. Tip number 2, understand what you're training for. When it comes to climbing a mountain, we're talking about something that is primarily an endurance pursuit, covering a long distance at a relatively low intensity. So the majority of your training can line up with this: walking, running, hiking, and climbing at a low intensity. A great way to check this is by keeping a conversational or nose breathing pace. This will put you in that zone where you're primarily working your aerobic system. Here's the problem. This type of training is not epic. It's not a Rocky Balboa montage. It won't impress your friends. In fact, some days it won't even feel like you're training because we've come to associate training with high intensity, pushing to exhaustion every time, giving it your all. Now, don't get me wrong, there is a place for high intensity training, but it's a much smaller percentage of the time after you've built a rock solid foundation. This low intensity work is what adds up day after day, week after week, year after year, as you're training your body and your mind to achieve mountain objectives that previously were not possible for you. This is a no shortcuts method. Tip number 3, consistency matters. If you're haphazard about your training, you won't get the results you're looking for. This doesn't mean you don't take a day off if you're sick. Of course, you're going to build in rest days. What it does mean is you develop a training plan that you follow on a daily and weekly basis. It means committing to a training season with different periods or blocks of training. This consistency also bears fruit over years as you continue to develop your fitness. Tip number 4, focus on progressing slowly and deliberately. This is about starting with a specific training volume and then week over week progressing in a slow and deliberate manner. Now, we can think about training volume in terms of the amount of time you're spending training in a given week. So, for example, in my most recent training season, I started out with 2.5 hours of training per week, and then right around week 25, 26, I peaked at 9 hours of training in a week. So another example, let's say you're in week 10 of your training and you've just completed 5 hours. The following week, if you increase by 10%, then week 11 you're doing just 30 additional minutes of training. Why is this important? If you start with too high of a volume or make big jumps week to week, you increase your chances of getting injured. It's also more likely that you'll be too tired to train in, say, week 10 if you overdid it in weeks 8 and 9. The idea is to gently coax your body into small fitness gains each week that will add up over a training season and get you to your objective in a healthy and effective way. Bonus tip, you can apply this same principle of progression to your training by gradually increasing the amount of weight you're carrying in your pack and the feet or meters you're ascending in your training session. Tip number 5, vary your training volume. Now, with the previous point, you might be tempted to continuously increase your training volume by 10 or 20% each week. However, your body also needs time to rest and recover in order for the training to be effective. So varying the training volume means having weeks where you intentionally decrease the training volume in order to give your body time to adapt. One way to do this is by gradually increasing your volume for 3 weeks, and then in that 4th week, cutting volume by as much as 50%. Then in the 5th week, you would pick back up essentially at that 3rd week's volume. So as an example, week 1 could be 2.5 hours. Week 2 would be 2 hours and 45 minutes. Week 3 would be up to 3 hours. And then for week 4, you could cut up to 50%, so let's say down to an hour and a half. And week 5, you could pick up with that week 3 volume at 3 hours. There are some amazing resources that help me understand these principles and put them into practice in my training. You're going to want to check the description for links to those resources. Please consider subscribing if you found this video valuable. Click or tap that like button. And hey, my name's August. I'll see you in the next video.